Hello and welcome to the Tomcast. I'm Tom, president and dictator for life of 515comics.com. I mentioned last week that I had finished another series in my ongoing life project, which is basically just a thing where I try and read more comics, like printed comics especially, things that I didn't read when I was younger, and was instead just reading webcomics and stuff. About a year and a half ago, my good friend Mikey G lent me the first 4 books of the Sandman series. There they are. Yay, they're so pretty, they're so nice. Thanks for lending these to me, Mike. I'm not necessarily the best guy to lend books to. I mean, eventually I will read them and return them, but yeah, it just takes me a while. I was thinking about it a little bit today about why it takes me so long to read comics when I borrow them from people. Mostly it's just I don't start them right away. I have a lot of things that I'm reading, constantly cycling through things. And honestly, mostly I don't read comics still. Like, that's part of what the Life Project is about, is it's kind of trying to push me to read more of the medium that I'm creating for. But honestly, when it comes to reading comics, I mostly read webcomics, and there's several that I follow quite regularly. But other than that, a lot of my reading time is reserved for just books with text. So, sorry it took me so long, Mike, but I read them. So what did I walk away from after reading the Sandman books? Well, let me tell you where I was before I read them. I was aware of them, I had heard of them before, a lot of people have referenced them, a lot of my friends have told me, boy, if you want to start reading comics, you should really read this series, it's really good. So I'd mostly heard positive things about it, and being the hipster that I am, I was a bit skeptical. If everybody likes it, surely I won't. But I was like, you know what? Here's an opportunity for me to read it. I'll read them. So I read the first volume, and I'll be honest, it was really hard for me to get into. I was just not into it. I didn't know a whole lot about what to expect going into the book. And frankly, the first book was a little slow to start, I felt. Because I didn't know about what was going to happen later, it just sort of was like, boy, there's a lot of these books, I hope it kind of gets interesting soon. By the time I finished reading the first volume, they'd set up a lot of things, and I was like, huh, I wonder what the hell this guy's gonna do now. So they left it in a really good place that really did actually make me want to keep reading. And then the rest of the books that I had, 2 through 4, went much faster, and I was much more engaged and much more interested in them. Sandman was always something that I had heard about from other people, and that I had seen so many different places, and I'm not going to say I'm not jaded anymore, but I often came across it at a time when I was far more jaded about mainstream comics, and especially mainstream comics from the 90s. Now, the art is definitely from the 90s, and it definitely follows a lot of the styles of that kind of like edgy, mature 90s comic. But honestly, it didn't really bother me too much. Like, when I first started reading the first volume, I wasn't into it as much, and there were a couple scenes that it's like, okay, yeah, there's the blood and gore, whatever, but ultimately, looking back, it didn't really distract me too much while I was reading the book. And because I'm trying to be more open-minded and learn more about these comics, it made it a little bit easier for me to just kind of shut off that part of my brain and be like, let's just read the story. What do I think about the story? And I have to say, I really like it, and I am excited to read more. It probably won't take me a year and a half if Mike will agree to lend me more of his books. But anyway, so that was my kind of first thoughts on the Sandman. It was great to actually get some more reading in, and this is a series that, again, a lot of people have told me that I should read, so it feels good to have gotten a good start on that. I'm going to leave off there. I've got to get ready for a show in Burlington, Iowa tomorrow. The Burlington Public Library is hosting another comic event. I went last year, had a great time. Gonna go again this year. Hope to have a great time again. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope to see you at the show. I mean, if you're gonna be in Eastern Iowa, it's free. That's cool. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.